love to begin everything that I do in life with taking a breath in. Go ahead and take a conscious breath in. And go ahead and take a conscious breath out. And taking another conscious breath in. And taking another conscious breath out. And I'm just going to close my eyes for a moment. And I'm just going to chant 3 ohms together. And if that feels right in your heart, you're welcome to do the same with me. And it's just about setting the intention, coming here into this space, coming here into this moment. It's just invoking all our gods, goddesses, masters, wise people, sages, saints, to come into this holy and sacred space, this afternoon of wellness, this evening of wellness, this morning of wellness, wherever you are in the world. So bringing the awareness into this holy, sacred millisecond moment. And as you take a breath in, Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. May there be everlasting peace in all the corners of the world, the universe. May this same peace exist within and without. Beautiful. And as you take another breath in and out, you can go ahead and open your eyes into this awareness. Open your eyes into this awareness. And as you open your eyes into this awareness, I'm just going to ask Swamini, who was our host, to just unmute. Yeah, just unmute. And I'm just going to add you with me, because I had the great privilege of meeting you. It's been probably 7 days or a little bit more than 7 days. And I was so moved by your wish to serve people, and you already are a teacher as well. And it was like a spontaneous, yes, I will share this with whoever I need to share it with. So I'd love you just to welcome all your fellow colleagues, mentors, teachers, guides, students, that have joined us today. And a few words from you, please, Swamini. Yeah, go ahead.
Om Namo Narayanaya. So I welcome all of you. There are many of you who have come, and I'm really happy because it just snowballed by itself, and it's all because of Rangana. I remember I would invite people, and then when I put Rangana's, what do you call it, CV, when I introduced her, I wrote whatever was written on your site. I put that. Oh, people just kept signing in. No, no, we want to come. We want to come. So it's got more to do with you, Rangana. And welcome to all the people from Toronto. It's a long, long time. In fact, scanned through all of this to see you, but I couldn't make out who was who. I wanted to see Rupa. I saw Raju. Maybe Raju's the only person I saw. Right? So it's very nice to be here, and I think you'll have a delightful evening with Rangana. She is extremely charming and extremely informed, and talking about something which is very dear to all of us, Antakarana Shuddhi, and some wonderful modalities which help us with all of that. So, with that, let Rangana take over. Yes, Rangana.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that. Thank you so much for sharing that. And, I had the great privilege of also looking up some of the links on the website from the group, from the organization you're also part of. So, and I gather we have some respected elders with us here as well, and respected teachers. So my humblest of pranams to all of you for gracing us with your presence and hosting us today. And may you bless that, may whatever is meant to channel through and be communicated, may it be communicated without any attachment, with deep reverence and humility. Thank you. So let me ask you this. I saw how some of you had already posted on the WhatsApp group, what's the reason you're attending? And there was a sort of a variety of different things, from learning more about EFT to exploring the emotions and the emotional wellness in life. And let me just share with you, some of the things that some of the kind of people who might benefit from what I'm going to share with you today. So if you've ever had a headache or a tension in any shape or form, give me a number one in chat, because what I'm going to share with you today is going to benefit you. If you've ever known anyone that maybe emotionally ate, and it's like they didn't know why, but suddenly they found themselves going for that extra pani puri or that extra samosa, and they were totally hypnotized, and they were going through some emotional eating. Give me a 2 if emotional eating describes you. Now, give me a 3 if what describes you is maybe you've had some fear in your life, or perhaps you're a teacher, a mentor, you're a spiritual guide for other people, and your students maybe have some kind of fear that they come to you with, and they said, I've got this fear, what do I do? Give me a 3 in chat if that describes you. Now, give me a 4 in chat if you're facing with some kind of health problems. Maybe it's digestive issues, acidity, maybe it's bloating, any. Give me a 4 in chat. Now, perhaps you're someone that's just into wellness and fitness. And you like to stay fit, you like to stay healthy, you like to keep this temple healthy. Give me a 5 in chat if that describes you, and give me a 6 in chat if you either know people who have experienced some kind of trauma, or perhaps you maybe have experienced trauma in your past. And maybe, because I realize many of you on this call are already on a spiritual path, and so maybe trauma is no longer a thing for you today. I know in my case, I got a wake-up call. As a child, there was a me that was into spirituality. I was never into religion and rituals per se as a child, but I would sit with my father, though, in the morning when he would prepare for his daily puja in the morning. And I would make the sandalwood and the chandan with him. I'd get the flowers. I'd put the mounds of rice out for him in preparation. But I was never a person who was into the rituals per se. For me, my relationship was much more private. My relationship with God was a private relationship where I would have a communication and a conversation in my private moments, and I could feel the awareness of this presence around me as a child. And then I was just a normal child, wasn't I? Going to school, being naughty, getting told off, not getting told off. I was just a normal young kid. And I went to school, and I went to school in Hong Kong. And I was born in Singapore, went to school in Hong Kong. And Hong Kong, went to the British school. I was the only Indian there with two little pigtails with coconut oil dripping down, stinking of coconut oil. And I'd be called Stinky and Packy and Indy. And of course, the people in the school I went to didn't know the difference between Packy and Indy, but it didn't matter. I still felt like I was called a name that didn't feel right in my heart back then. But now it's fine. It's just a name, isn't it? There's no attachment to what the name is. And then I found myself in school in India, and going through a very strict education, and finding myself to be the stupid one, the silly one, the one who couldn't master studies, the one who couldn't answer things correctly. And then I found myself in England because my dad would be traveling so much. And I went to boarding school in England. And for me as a child, that was very traumatic because I didn't know how to communicate in an English environment. You see, I came from an extended family in India, where it was noisy, and, lunches were like these big lavish meals and people would be coming and going. And it was this, and then suddenly I was in England, everything was polite. Hello, how do you do? I am fine, thank you. I didn't realize in England, all you said was, I'm fine, thank you. I thought I could speak the truth. I'm not feeling well. I'm sad today. I'm angry today. And they're like, we don't talk about emotions. Emotions are bad. From now on, you just need to say, I am fine, thank you. So then I started to suppress my emotions because society was not into me speaking the truth. I would only be accepted by society if I lied. And if I said that I am fine, thank you. So I got used to saying I'm fine, thank you. And then I started my first career, and I have a PhD in cancer research from Oxford University. And then I found myself in America. And I was working in Florida, and I lived on the beach in a place called Clearwater. And I had this red Ford car because that's what my budget could afford in those days. And I'd be driving this red Ford car from my home on the beach. And you see, I just wanted to live on the beach. So I got this one room on the beach and no furniture because I was like, no, I'm not investing in furniture, and I don't want a mattress. And I just put my blanket down, and that was my bed, because I used all my savings to make sure I could look at the ocean. Because for me, the ocean was more precious than a dining table and more precious than a sofa or a futon bed. And so I lived in this one room enjoying the ocean for 2 years. And in the morning, I drive in my red Ford car to work. And this one day, I got a call from my medical doctor, my gynecologist, and I pulled over into a derelict building. And as I pulled over into a derelict building, I took the call. And on the one hand was the pristine turquoise waters of the Florida coastline. And the doctor spoke to me and she said, you've got cancer. You need to come in and get chemotherapy and surgery. You see, I have a PhD in cancer research from Oxford University. I never expected one day someone would say to me that I've got cancer. And it was like a massive shock right in my gut. And I did something very unpredictable then, very radical. I said, no, I'm not coming in. I refuse chemotherapy and surgery. Like, normally my logical mind would kick in because I was experiencing daily migraines at this time. For the last 2 years, I had daily vomiting migraines. So I was taking paracetamol and cocodamol on a daily basis, which was basically destroying my liver. Codeine, cocodamol, is a very addictive substance. And she said, fine, don't come in, don't get the surgery, and we will withdraw all your health insurance. And I thought to myself, wow, someone's down. They're already in a really bad place. Why don't just kick them some more just to make sure they feel really bad? And yet this intuition within me, which I didn't know what it was, kept saying, no, no, no. And I followed it. And I found myself back in England because I had gone on a temporary assignment with an organization, and I promised them I would do my 2-year assignment in Florida and I would come back to England. And I found myself back in England. And I had my mother, who is self-taught in energy medicine. And she had bought a book called The Journey by a lady named Brandon Bays. It was lying on my bed. And I said, Ma, what is this? What is this? Why have you got this? Don't you know I'm a scientist? Do you have no idea that I have a PhD in cancer research? And like the arrogance, like vomit, was just seething out of every pore in my being. And my mother, being the best teacher of unconditional love that I've ever had in my whole life, picked up the book and she dusted it off. And she said, Deepa, which is my pet name, my mother calls me Deepa. She said, Deepa, it's okay. It's okay. And she put the book back in her bag. And a week later, she already had a planned trip to India. And so she went back to India. And I stayed on with my father. I stayed on with my father in England. And I loved my father so much. You know, he was a strapping 6'2", you know, and he was a Sanskrit scholar. He came from a line of, you know, Sanskrit scholars that, you know, my family had always been steeped in, you know, learning the ancient Vedic text and chanting. Whilst I had not mastered them, my father would, you know, chant, he would explain. And I even read the Gita in those days. And you know what? I didn't understand it. I wish I had a teacher like some of the teachers we have here on this call. I didn't understand what detachment meant. I thought, oh, detachment meant just stone face. Yeah, hello, hi, yeah, how do you do? Yeah, I'm detached right now. I have no emotion. And there was a calling to read it, and yet there was this non-understanding of it. And then what happened was a month later, after mom left, Baba said, I want to go home to India. That's my home. And in India, they had this tiny little like room that they lived in, you know, kitchen, bed that doubled up as a sofa, very kind of ashram-like existence, you know, kerosene stove, you know, in the morning and then hot water in the evening. And so he said, that's my home. I want to go home to your mother. I want to be with your mother. And so my dad went back home. And so I had a wake-up call with the diagnosis, you see, because sometimes well, in my case, I don't know about you. In my case, I didn't really take the call to go on the inward journey, the real journey, the inside journey, till I got a wake-up call. You see, some people are gifted because the truth is there is only one journey, and that is the one on the inside. And yet I was so attached to the outward journey and what that outward journey would be like. And so a month later, my dad, he went back to India, and around the 10th, 9th, 8th, 9th of December, my mother calls me and she says, come home. You need to come home. And I said, give the phone to dad. Let me speak to him. Baba, do you know I love you? I love you. He said, yay, I know you love me. You know, and he just kind of dissolved it away like, oh, let's not get into too many emotions here. And I didn't have a visa then to come back to India because I had a British passport in those days. And so on the Sunday, the High Commission was closed. I collected all the money I had in this big ball, and I went to the High Commission, and I just said, you know, I need to go. My dad's sick. I need a visa. And he understood the truth. And in his pajamas, his white kurta pajama, he stamped me a visa. And then I took that ball of money next day to the Air India counter, and I said, take it to India. And she looked at me as if this was a young girl. I was a grown woman then, you know. This was a young girl who maybe had broken her piggy bank and had taken all the coins and the little pieces of notes to get this flight. And she said, ma'am, I've only got a jump seat. See, these days you can't fly in a jump seat. Well, these days you can't fly, I mean, let alone jump seat. But you know, before these days, you know, you couldn't fly in a jump seat. I said, I'll take it. And I flew in this jump seat, and I landed in Mumbai airport, and I had 2 missed calls on my phone. One was from my sister and one was from my mother. And I called my mother and she didn't pick up. And I called my sister, and I'd landed at 10 p.m. And the missed calls were at 9 p.m. And you know the news. You know, she said, Dad's not here anymore. I was like, Dad's not here anymore, you know, and it just, Dad's not here anymore. I mean, I couldn't understand it initially. Dad's not here anymore. And then the second thought arose in my awareness. And the second thought was, did he know that I loved him? That's what I wanted to know. He's dead, but did he know that I loved him? And then the next thought arises that, oh, I'm not going to see him alive. Like here I am, made the trip, but I'm not going to see him. And then before I know it, on a foggy morning in Mumbai, I find myself on the Air India flight waiting to fly from Mumbai to Bangalore. And my eyes just tear up. And there's a lady sitting next to me and she notices my tears and she gives me a silver Lakshmi coin in my hand. And she said, whatever it is, put this in water and drink it. It will bring you peace. She didn't know what was going on. And then I landed in Bangalore and it was a 2-hour journey to where we live in an ashram-like village. And I showered, dressed in white. My dad's body could not be taken upstairs. And it was so amazing to me how when they're alive, you call them by their name. But when they're dead, you use the word body or corpse. I mean, the whole wisdom is stored there, isn't it? But I had no idea. It didn't strike me until that moment when I was informed his body is downstairs. He's no longer referred to as a being or a spirit or a soul. And I go down and he's lying there on the ground, and I'd massaged his back so many times in my life. And I put my hand underneath his back and I feel the ripples of fat, a back that was so familiar to me because I had touched it so many times to soothe it, to give him some comfort in his old age. I was like, back is familiar. And I looked at his face and his tongue was hanging out, and I put his tongue back in and there was a fly hanging around his face, and I moved the fly. And then I realized, wow, this is only the body. There is no soul here. And I had my first real wake-up call, which is I am not the body. Who I am is this infinite presence. And that's when I had my real wake-up call. You see, the passing of my father was the greatest miracle of my life. Because until the moment of my father's passing, even the cancer didn't awaken me that much. Like I even ignored the inner journey, even when I got the call about cancer. But it was only in my father's passing that I realized there is another journey to be had here, and that is the inward journey. So it was in the passing of my father that I had enough humility to read that book called The Journey and learn about healing. And I knew within that book was stored the healing that my body would go under. And when I came back to England, the first thing I did was I booked myself on the Journey seminar and to learn about emotions, to learn about my own emotions, to learn about how could I let go of emotions and how can I have much more emotional balance in my life. And as I shared with you earlier, I used to have daily vomiting migraines. And so in that process, I also came across EFT because my sister was giving a seminar, her first seminar on EFT in her home, in her conservatory in England, in the south of England, in a place called Hastings. And I thought it was most bizarre that there was this technique where people were kind of touching themselves like this and saying these statements out loud. And at this time point, I also had a headache. I had a throbbing headache. And Ma said to me, Deepa, can I share this technique with you called EFT? It might help you with your headache, because my mom had been studying it. And I kind of dismissed it because I was in that stage of life. How many of you are parents here? Give me a one in chat. How many of you are children or you've ever had parents? Give me a two in chat. Give me a three in chat if you're an alien and you have no parents whatsoever and you've never been a child. Yeah. All of us here have either been a parent at some level or all of us here have been a child at some level. And I know I've been a child at some level, and I was the kind of child, I was a terrible child, where whatever my mother said, I would say, no, I'm not doing it. You know, if you're a good child, give me a three in chat. If you're a child that rejected what your parents said, give me a three in chat. You know, I was the kind of child that went, no, Ma, I don't want it. I don't want this EFT thing. I'm not interested in it. Take it away from me. And my mom, being a skilled negotiator, which I think every parent gets the minute the baby comes out of the birth canal, I feel the gene of influencing the child switches on. And Ma said to me, I'll do a deal with you. Because Ma knew I loved head massage. I loved receiving head massage. She said, look, Deepa, you let me do this EFT thing on you. If it works, great. If it does not work, I'll give you a massage. And if it works, I'll still give you a massage. I thought, wow, what a great deal, Mom. Wish you were my investment banker that no matter what, I'm going to be winning. I said, fine, you can do this EFT thing on me. And then Ma said to me, she said, what number is the headache at? What number is your headache at? And I said, Ma, it's a number 10. It's a 10 headache and it's right here and it's a red color and it's riveting down my neck. And so Ma said to me, just follow along. Now, at this point, I realized there's no point me disagreeing with Ma. You know, there comes a point when you just listen to whatever the mother says. It's like, okay, you know what? I'm doing it. I'm not arguing with you. I'm just going to follow along and yes, and we're going to do it. And so Ma did this thing with me. Do it with me. Just do it with me so you can get familiar with the process and I'll teach it to you step by step by step by step as well. Just do it with me, okay? So Ma said, just begin here. Just begin here. And Ma said to me, say it out loud with me, okay? And so there's going to say it with me.
Even though
I have this headache,
I have this headache,
it's a number 10.
it's a number 10.
It's a red headache.
It's a red headache.
And it's in the side of my head.
And it's in the side of my head.
I deeply and completely love and accept myself anyway.
Love and accept myself anyway.
This red headache,
This
throbbing headache,
this throbbing headache,
it really bothers me.
it really bothers me.
I don't like this headache.
I don't like this.
And I don't believe in EFT.
And I don't believe in EFT.
I don't believe in anything unconventional.
I don't believe anything unconventional.
I'm not sure I trust this thing. And sort of she went under the arm like this. I'm not sure I trust this thing.
I'm not sure I trust this.
I just don't know.
I just don't know
if I can trust it. And she did the finger points. I'll explain it in a minute. I don't know if I can trust this.
I don't know whether I can trust this.
Yeah, I don't know if this feels right.
I don't know whether this feels right.
Yeah, this red headache.
Yeah, this red headache.
Even though
I
have this red headache. It's a 10 on 10.
It's a 10 on 10.
I deeply and completely love and accept myself anyway. And then Ma just got me to hold this part of the hand, and I'll explain it to you in a moment. And then Ma just said, take a breath in. and out. Now my headache went down from a 10 to a 7. But the thought I had was, do I let her know or shall I keep quiet? Because my pride got in the way. And I didn't want Ma to know that this thing had actually worked. But anyway, somehow I said, it's a 7, Ma. And then she said to me, how are you feeling? What's actually feeling there about the headache? Like, what's the emotion there? And I said, I feel helpless. And it popped out of my mouth before I had time to think about it. And I teared up a little and I just kind of pushed the tear away. And she said, well, let's do a second round. So do this with me as well.
Even though
I have this headache
I have this headache
and it makes me feel helpless.
and it makes me feel
It
helpless.
makes me feel so helpless.
It makes me feel so helpless.
I wish I didn't have it.
I wish I didn't have it.
I love and accept myself anyway.
I love and accept myself completely.
This headache
This headache
makes me feel so helpless.
makes me feel so helpless,
Really helpless.
really helpless.
This headache
This headache,
is so helpless.
so helpless.
Really helpless.
Oh, so helpless.
Beautiful. So Ma did a second round and my headache went down to a 0, by the way, in a space of less than 5 minutes. This time my pride did get in the way though. And I said, Ma, it's a 3. It's a 3. And she gave me my kind of conciliatory massage because it was a 3. And secretly on the inside, I knew that something had happened today, that there was a way that my physical pain was relieved. And I looked up the technique on the internet and I consulted with my sister and I found a teacher in the north of England to go learn it with. And I learned it with her. And I never learned how to work with the headache directly. I just used whatever technique she taught. Like I do the same training myself online and I begin that training next week. So for example, on day 1, I just learned about how to work with stress, how to work with past memories, how to work with cravings. On day 2, I learned about how to work with deeper memories, how to work with fears, with phobias, how to work with limiting thoughts, how to work sensitively. And I just learned technique by technique, by technique, by technique. And I got back in my car and I drove back home to where I was staying, which was 2 hours away. And I totally forgot about my headaches. And then it was only months later that I was like, oh my goodness, I've not got daily vomiting headaches. How can this be? And then I started to like notice it more, observe it. It's like, wow, I've got headaches only once a week, and then every 2 weeks, and then every 3 weeks. And then, maybe I've got headaches once a month. And then now I get headaches just like any other normal human being would. But I no longer get the migraines, the vomiting migraines. And I no longer have a need to take paracetamol and codeine either. So whether you are here on this training because you are here because maybe you had a wake-up call like I did, or maybe you experienced some kind of trauma like I did. In my case, it was a passing of my father. Go ahead and write for me in chat. If you have experienced any trauma in your life, give me a yes and let me know what kind of trauma you may have experienced in your life. You see, trauma for some people is a parent saying, shut up. Trauma for other people is a teacher slapping a child either on their bottom or their face. And trauma for some people is losing a job, losing a loved one. It's, feeling emotionally imbalanced. Give me a no in chat if you've never felt any kind of trauma or stress or tension, anything in your whole life. Divorce is another example of trauma. Heartbreak is another example. Abuse, absolutely. There's physical violence, then there's domestic violence, and there's sexual abuse. You know, the statistics of abuse are staggering. Now, let me also talk to you about relationship. Give me a number 11 in chat if you have ever been in a relationship or are currently married. If you have ever been in a relationship or currently married, okay. Now, give me a 12 in chat if you've ever had heartbreak in your life, any kind of heartbreak, separation, divorce. This is what I want you to get. Divorce or separation or heartbreak feels like as if the person has been in a car crash physiologically, by the way. It feels as if the person has been in a car crash physiologically. And people don't understand this or realize this, okay? Now, maybe some of you are here because maybe you felt sad, you know, in your life. Give me a 7 if you ever felt sad in your life and you want to figure out how to let it go. Or maybe you felt angry or irritated or frustrated. Give me an 8 in chat. If you ever felt angry or irritated or frustrated, or perhaps maybe you've got hurt or you felt guilty. Give me a 9 in chat. Have you ever felt hurt or felt guilty? You see, there are 5 root negative emotions, okay? The 5 root negative emotions are fear, anger, sadness, hurt, and guilt. The 5 root emotions are fear, anger, sadness, hurt, and guilt. Let me ask you this. Write for me in chat. Regret is the combination of which emotions? Fear, sadness, hurt, guilt, anger. Regret is the combination of which emotions? There's probably some hurt there. Yeah, there's probably some sadness there. There could be some guilt there too. Absolutely. So just like you have the primary colors, just like you have the 3 primary colors, we have the 5 root emotions, where every other emotion other than these 5 have a component of it. So this seminar today is also for anyone on a spiritual path. Give me a 10 in chat if you're on a spiritual path. Or perhaps you're a teacher or you teach other people and you want to be able to learn about an emotional wellness technique so that you can support maybe the people that you teach. Give me 11 if you fall in this category. Or give me a 12 if you are already in the health and wellness and you either work as a therapist or a healer or a yoga teacher, you know, where you're in some kind of a healing and therapeutic art and you help and you make a difference to other people. Now, if you don't fall in any of these categories, perhaps you're just curious. So if you don't fall in any of these categories, perhaps you're just curious. Give me a 13, because I just want to make sure that I have everyone, because I'm going to cover everything that I'm going to cover here today. So in our time together, you're going to learn what is emotional wellness and why is it important. What is the reason feeling negative emotions is harmful to health? What is emotional freedom techniques and how does it work? How can EFT help to lift negativity and clear the path to welcome health, happiness, and peace? And how to use EFT on yourself as a daily practice for health, wellness, and spirituality. Can you give me a number 1 in chat if I'm going to cover what you think you have joined the seminar for, and give me a 2 in chat if I'm not going to cover, like if you're not described in who you are, or I'm just not going to cover what you think that I should be covering. Okay, now let me begin by sharing emotional wellness. What is emotional wellness? Emotional wellness is when we take care of our own emotions. And what's the reason this might be important? When we take care of our own emotions, we are self-caring ourselves. When we take care of our own emotions, we can relax. Emotional wellness allows the stress to be reduced as well. Emotional wellness also develops the inner strength because we can give attention to the positive and the negative emotions and then understand how to handle them, what to do. Emotional wellness also gives us an ability to learn and grow from our experiences. It also encourages independent and proper decision making. Now, how does it actually do that? How does it allow you to do that? So a component of emotional wellness is, say something happens in life. Maybe in life there is hurt because a friend said something hurtful, so it hurts me. And so what emotional wellness allows us to do is to accept that hurt. But I don't mean fake positive thinking, Jane do, accept the hurt. I don't mean that. Because that is not at the level of biochemistry in the body. I mean truthful acceptance of the hurt, that even though this hurt has happened, I choose to love and accept myself. You see, the founder of EFT, his name was Gary Craig. And his whole premise of teaching this, and the reason it was rejected initially by the medical community, it's not anymore. The reason it was rejected initially by the medical community is Gary did not go to the medical community and share it with them. Gary went straight to the public because he said the public need to learn this self-help tool. They need to learn this tool where, despite having emotions, despite having emotional experiences, despite having negative things happen in life, I choose to love and accept myself. And that is the magic of EFT. This has happened. I don't give it a story. I don't pour kerosene over it and make it bigger and more. I don't do any of that. I don't identify with it. I don't become attached to it, but I recognize the truth of it. ये story हुआ है, ये story has happened in my life, लेकिन ये story है, this is not me. And मैं ये story को पूर्ण रूप से, पूर्ण तरीका से मैं fully accept करती हूँ. And I love myself despite that story ever happening. And so a process of emotional wellness is a process of acceptance, a process of self-empowerment. Now, in my case, the process of emotional wellness healed my physical body. You see, with emotional healing, the cancer came out of my body. I bled for 28 days. And at the end of the 28 days, I went and I got my tests again. And the doctor was like, huh? What happened? And he had to double check, were those other tests clear? Were they right? How come you no longer have cancer in your body? How can this be true? And the doctor attributed it to some kind of spontaneous miracle happening. In my case, my healing happened because I worked on my emotions. Number one, I started to inquire, what am I feeling? Where in the body am I feeling it? I started to inquire, when have I felt like this before? And I started to use the process like EFT to start to clear the emotion, to start to clear the past memory and the negative charge associated with it, but then to also love and accept, because healing, of course, is a process of accepting and allowing the emotion. Of course it is. It is also a process of making peace with the past. Of course it is. And it is also a process of I accept me, I forgive me, I welcome me. And it was EFT that also helped heal my migraines, because I went in a process of self-acceptance, of self-love, no matter how painful it was, because the truth is, of course, there were some memories where people did things to me, but guess what? There were plenty of memories when I did things to people, when I got angry with people, when I put people down, when I disempowered people, when I made people feel bad, when I verbally abused people, and I had to face it all. I had to face it all. I had to face the role that I played in my life. And I had to ask for forgiveness. I had to say, even though I shouted at my mother, and I'm not proud of it, because I have in the past, by the way. Maybe on this call, I have people who have never done anything like that, or have never got angry in their whole life, have never felt sad or despondent, but I have. It's like, even though I got angry, I choose to love and accept myself. Now, I don't want you to misunderstand me. I'm not getting myself off the hook for the behavior. हाँ मैंने किया, बहुत खराब चीज किया, मैं love and accept करती हूँ, no problem, मैं बहुत अच्छी जन हूँ. I'm not saying that. I'm saying कि मैंने गलत behavior किया है, and I still accept me. Because when I can accept me, I'm in understanding, I'm in compassion, I'm in self-love. I can change my behavior. I no longer need to be that negative behavior. You see, I had a particularly frightening time. I'm not proud of what I have to share with you. And before I share this with you, can I have a show of hands? Just put your hands up like this, of privacy, integrity, and confidentiality. I'm not proud of something I did, okay? And there was one day I was so intensely triggered by my mother that I literally raised a knife to her here. And I raised a knife to me because I was so intensely triggered. And I saw the knife in my hand. I said, what the you doing? What are you doing? And I put the knife down and I picked my mother up and I said, please forgive me. Please forgive me. Please forgive me. Please forgive me. She forgave me. But you know what? I never forgave myself. It took me 4 years to forgive myself. Even though I raised the hand to my mother, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. And I got down on my hands and knees that day and I said, if there is a God, please help me. Help me find a way. Help me find freedom from this. Help me to create incredible relationships in my life. Help me to create joy and happiness and peace and love and understanding. Help me. And whenever I'd be triggered, because, you know, the human being's going to get tested and triggered, isn't it? Life's going to happen. The auto rickshaw is going to cut you up. And there's going to be that one day when you get triggered. People are going to be after your time. There's going to be that day when you feel anxious. It's going to happen. That's life. And when it happens, I observe, I inquire, I got triggered. Okay, this is what's going on. I love and accept myself. So let me come back to emotional wellness. So in our time together, you're going to learn everything you need to know to relieve that negativity in yourself and others before it becomes a bigger health problem, to feel peace, calm, and emotionally balanced. So what are some of the house rules for today's seminar? I'm not going to be doing coaching and therapy. I'll do some live demonstrations for sure. And I'm going to stay on beyond 8 p.m. Indian Standard Time for an hour for any additional questions that you may have. I will answer them. This is not a do nothing and feel calm. This is not how to take a magic pill. You'll be able to learn how to put the work to work in your own life. Now, to give you a little bit of background, 85% of illness is stress related. 90% of doctor visits are also stress related. And there's references for each of these that I have. Stress is also one of the leading causes of divorce, by the way, addictions and weight gain and obesity as well. There was a study done in California on 70,000 patients, one of the largest studies ever done, where they found unresolved emotional upsets early on in childhood led to illness later on in life, led to heart disease, led to lung dysfunction, led to the requirement for multiple sexual partners, born from an imbalance rather than born from their free will and what they chose as their lifestyle. It led to a feeling of low self-esteem. Now, likewise, suppressed emotions can also lead to disease. For example, suppressed emotions can increase the risk of cancer by 70%. In my case, I had a lot of suppressed emotions because I was conditioned as a child to not cry, to not express, to not get angry, to not throw a tantrum. And I would say if you have children that like to throw tantrums, please let them throw tantrums. Let them get it off their chest, because better out than in, because it's like vomit. You wouldn't swallow your vomit back down. So why would you swallow your negative emotions back down? It's like, get it out, find a vehicle to get it out. Increases heart disease by 47%. Unexpressed anger is also linked to cancer as well. Holding on to unforgiveness can lead to diabetes, pain, and heart attack. So, what can you do? One is to figure out a way that works to release emotional stress to feel calm. And I'm going to give you some tips and techniques in the next 1 hour to use a clinically proven method to free suppressed emotions, and to learn a method to let go of the past upsets and trauma. So, what you can experience is emotional balance. Okay. One of the techniques that I have mentioned already that I love to use is emotional freedom techniques, because the studies have shown that it can help to overcome stress, eliminate pain, heal the past, to defeat phobias, especially small animal phobias, to help heal past trauma and accidents, to also stop cravings, to break through limits. And EFT has been clinically studied for children, for teenagers, as well as for adults. So one of the studies that was done was with people who had experienced post-traumatic stress disorder, known as PTSD. So PTSD is extreme stress. And people in the study had come back from war. They were Vietnam veterans, basically, and they were experiencing inability to sleep, startled, waking up at night, not able to communicate. And they received 6 sessions of EFT, not from a psychologist who was trained in EFT, but a practitioner who had never done anything before. They were not a coach, they were not a psychologist, they were not a counselor. They were trained in EFT, and they found after 6 sessions, 90% were free from the PTSD criteria. There was a study launched actually this year itself by a lady named Pete Stapleton in Australia, where she found that EFT helped people lose weight because it didn't work on the diet and the exercise, but it worked on the emotions and letting go of the emotions, and hence no emotional eating. Similarly, there were studies done on test-taking anxiety, reduction of depression, athletic performance, improvement in pain, fibromyalgia, and reduction in phobias and fears. Now, this next study, though, was when a scientist in America took a pinprick of blood and looked at it under a live microscope. So, as in, watch those red blood cells moving live, and then had the clients in 2 groups. One group received 2 minutes of non-specific EFT, even though I feel stressed, I love and accept myself. The other group received nothing. And what they found was the group that received the 2 minutes of non-specific EFT, those patients who had red blood cells that were clumped up together, that they became free flowing. And the study was done by a nutritionist. And she said on that day, gosh, if I had seen someone's live blood analysis and their red blood cells were clumped up like this, I would have put them on a year's worth of supplements. And all they needed was a tool that can actually help them just to feel more at ease and to be able to let go of their stress. Now, similarly, on some of the physiological markers, the studies with EFT, it reduces cortisol, pain, anxiety, depression, PTSD symptoms, blood pressure, and food cravings, and it increases happiness and immune system markers. There are a whole load of celebrities who also have used it. Camilla Parker Bowles is one of the famous ones. She had it in her autobiography as well, where she used EFT to overcome her fear of flying. Balan Taplin is an Olympic athlete. He's used it before the Olympics for his performance. And Whoopi Goldberg, famous for some of the movies like Sister Act, she's used it for the fear of flying as well. Couple of the health and wellness gurus as well, like Deepak Chopra, Louise Hay, Paul McKenna, who is a very famous hypnotherapist. Candace Pert, Molecules of Emotions. She was the one who discovered something known as the opioid receptor, the receptor for decreasing pain. And she said that this has the chance to being the next kind of antibiotic, because if people can learn it and use it on themselves, it can help them to feel healthy and vibrant. So you might be wondering now, how can I actually do it? How do I actually do the EFT process? And so what I'm going to do next is I'm going to actually share with you the 7 steps to EFT, okay? And as I share the 7 steps to EFT, just follow along with me step by step by step, okay? So the first step in EFT is to identify an issue or the goal that you would like for yourself, okay? Some people want issues they want to resolve in their life, and some people have goals, okay? An example of a goal might be, I want to deepen in my spiritual practice, so I want to feel more confident in myself. I want to feel more happy. An example of an issue might be, I get triggered by my family, or maybe I have a health issue. Step 2 is to get a measure for it. Step 3 is we're going to start by tapping on the side of the hand. Step 4 is we're going to tap on the upper body, the facial points, and then the upper body points, as well as the hand points. Step 5 is going to close the sequence. Step 6 is going to get you to relax. And step 7, we're going to do a testing sequence, okay? So all I'm going to do right now is to just introduce it to you so you can learn it for yourself. On this call, the ones you can see, the angel assist team, they've actually been through quite deep training in EFT over 6 days, and they've received mentoring and supervision over 15 hours, and they either are completing their case studies with clients, or they are professionally qualified as a certified practitioner and they work with others. So they are trained how to deeply work, and I'm just sharing with you right now how you can work as self-help for yourself, okay? So number 1, identify the goal or the problem. So these are some of the questions you would ask yourself. What do I want? What's the issue I want to solve? And how does it make me feel? So if I'm working with a client, I'll ask them, what do you want? What's the issue that you want to solve? How does it make you feel? Then in step 2, I'll get a measure of it. So for example, if they say, it makes me feel tense, I'll say to them, on a scale of 1 to 10, how tense does it make you feel? Where 10 is really tense and 1 is not tense at all. So I get a measure of it. So then I know, this is where it is now. And so then when I perform the EFT, this is where it is at the end. Step 3, I start tapping on the side of the hand. And if everyone can follow along, and if you can't, if you're in gallery view, you can just look for the angels with the angels, and they'll just show you their hand on the karate chop as well. And say out loud with me, even though I have this problem,
I have this problem,
I deeply and completely
I deeply and completely
love and accept myself.
love and accept myself.
And so what we add in this problem is whatever that person wants to work on, whether it's an issue. And then if it's a goal, we're asking questions like, what's the reason you haven't achieved that goal yet? And that will unveil some kind of a challenge that we put in this problem statement. Then step 4 is we tap on the upper body and finger points. So just, as you look at me, you can just follow along. That's really great. And you can use both hands like this. You can use one hand. You can use one hand here. So both hands like this. I'm just going to use both hands for now. And if you're in gallery view, you can follow along with one of our angels. So go to the temple now. Lovely. Go under the eye, under the eye. Make sure the assist team are following me exactly where I am. The under of the eye is here in the cheek point, under the eye. Very good. Excellent. Under the nose. Very good. Then on the chin over here, chin. The chin point is actually in the dip over here, but it's quite challenging for people to remember that it's actually in the dip over here. And so if you tap here, it's sufficient because the tapping points have a hand span. So if I'm tapping here, it affects the meridians here as well. So here, and then you want just below the collarbone, just below the collarbone. And then you want to tap under the arm here. And for women, it's around where the bra strap is. And for men, it's just above where the nipple is. So there's the adrenal glands. This is linked to the adrenaline in the body. So if you've ever felt any kind of stress in your life, for some people, this might be sore or tender, by the way. Then we do the finger point. So the meridian is on this side of the finger here. The meridian is on this side of the finger here. Then here. Then here. The meridian on here is on this side, so I leave it out. I leave it out because Gary Craig didn't want to confuse people to remember that it's on this side. So I just leave the finger out because these meridians are covered on the face as well. And then over here. So these are the tapping on the finger points. And the next part is we tap on the points while saying the problem statement. So in my case, my problem was a headache at a number 10. So my mother would tap headache, number 10.
Number
Headache,
10.
number 10.
Headache, 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 number 10.
Headache,
Headache,
number 10. Headache.
Headache, number 10. So we are doing touch therapy and talk therapy together. It's the only therapy I know that combines both together, touch and talk. Step 5 is the closing sequence where you come back to the side of the hand. Now, the reason we begin in the side of the hand is because the side of the hand has points that sets the energy where you are grounded and you can accept a therapy working. In technical terms, it's known as we are reversing any psychological reversal, okay? If there's any block to it working, it's the reason we begin the tapping sequence here. So we would come back here and we close it here as well. And we'd say out loud, even though I have this problem, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. So that's step 5. And then step 6 is just to take a gentle breath in and out. And then take a sip of water. If you haven't got your water with you, you can go ahead and get your water now. And I'll be recommending to all of you at the end of today, you want to drink more water than normal. Because the kind of work we're doing is energy medicine work, which means it's going to be stimulating the meridians, it's going to be stimulating the parts of the body, the nadis, the subtle meridians. And so you need to drink water to flush out the toxins in the body. I'm going to take another sip. Please take another sip of water. Very good. And then reflect on how you are feeling. And then step 7 is the testing step, where you would ask yourself, how am I feeling? Or your therapist, whoever's working with you, say to you, how are you feeling? What happened? And no matter what, if you're asking yourself, how am I feeling? You just say to yourself, whether you say worse, same, or better, you just say to yourself, great. And the reason we say great, no matter what, whether we're feeling worse, same, or better, because EFT is a process of total acceptance. Whether you feel worse, it's great. Whether you feel the same, it's great. Whether you feel better, it's great. No one emotional state is better than the other emotional state. Whether you're feeling joy, it's great. Whether you're feeling terror, it's great. They're all great. There is no attachment to any kind of emotional, gradients of emotion. So with EFT, there's any energy disruption, it can just get realigned, and then you can have a sense of relief. So I'm going to do a demonstration with all of you together right now. So with the demonstration with all of you together, I want to have full participation. So before I begin, I need a 1 in chat if you're willing to go along with me. Now, if you go along with me, it might mean that it might help your health, because even 2 minutes of non-specific EFT is known to lower the cortisol, which is a stress hormone. Give me a 2 in chat if you're like, no, I don't want to participate. I want nothing to do with this, because it might not be the right thing for you to stay on for the rest of the seminar, because now this next part is about you and how can you use it on yourself. So we're going to do a little experiment. And the experiment's going to be on breathing first. And the reason I'm going to begin on breathing first is so that you can get comfortable with how this actually works. Okay, so the first thing I want you to do is just take a breath in and let it out. Lovely. And as you have taken that breath in and you've let it out, I want you to give it a number, where the number 10 is constricted and tight breathing, and it's like, oh, it's stressful. And a number 1 is free flowing and easy breathing. Just give me a number from either 10 till 1, wherever you are when you take a breath in, where 10 is constricted, and you can have somewhere in between as well, Yeah, lovely. Some of you 4, 5, some 8, 7, lovely. Some of you 1. It's not a competition, by the way. This isn't like, I got a number 10. No, I got number 1 breathing. See, I win the Oscar. But it's not a competition. It's not like that. It's just for you to check, where is your breathing at right now? Okay, great. Now it's lovely that you've put numbers on there. So now that you're clear on what numbers that at, I wanted to write for me in chat, especially those where it was anywhere between 10 and maybe 3, 10 and maybe 3. I want you to write for me in chat the quality of the breath. What is tight or tense or heavy about the breath? Write that for me in chat. Restricted, thank you, Sunita. Tense, thank you, Sahir. Heaviness in the chest, thank you, Angelica. Shallow, thank you, Anu. Need to make an effort to have a full breath, thank you. Relaxing, heaviness in the throat, thank you, Sakshi. Suffocating, heaviness, constricted, shallow, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Feel uncomfortable, thank you so much for sharing. Relaxing, thank you. Not complete, shallow, thank you. Lovely. Great. So I have a feel. So let's just do a divine experiment right now. And then let's just see what happens before and after. So just tap along with me. Tap along with me. And say out loud after me. Even though I feel it to be heavy.
I feel it
To be heavy.
little heavy.
I feel it to be heavy.
I feel it to be heavy.
This breath that's a little tense.
This breath that is a little tense.
This breath that I have to take effort to breathe.
This breath that I have to take effort to breathe.
This slight tightness.
This slight tightness.
I love and accept myself.
I love and accept myself.
This heaviness.
This heaviness.
This tightness.
This tightness.
This heaviness.
This heaviness.
This not completely shallow.
This not completely shallow.
This shallow breath.
The shallow breath.
This slightly constricted breath.
this slightly constricted breath,
this suffocating breath,
this suffocating breath,
this heaviness in my throat breath,
this heaviness breath in my throat,
this restricted breath,
this restricted breath,
this blocked nose breath,
this blocked nose breath,
this breath,
this breath.
even though I may be relaxed,
I may be relaxed,
I may be not relaxed,
and maybe not relaxed.
I may be heavy,
I may be
heavy,
heavy.
I may be light,
I may be light.
I may be restricted,
I may be restricted.
I may be not restricted.
I may not be restricted.
I deeply
I deeply
and completely
and completely
love and accept myself anyway.
love and accept myself anyway.
Just hold this point and breathe in and let it out. Take a sip of water. Lovely. And now, as you take another breath in and out, just reflect for yourself. Reflect for yourself right now. What number is that breath at? Is it worse than before? Is it the same as before? Or is it better than before? If it's worse than before, put a W. If it's the same as before, put an S. If it's better than before, put a B. Lovely. So many of you are sharing that it's a B. Some of you are sharing it's the same. And so far, I've had one of you share that it's a W. Now, the reason it gets worse is sometimes we've hit something that it needs a little bit more attention. Sometimes the reason it's the same as before is because maybe I haven't used your specific words. And what's astounding to me, that for so many of you, if I quickly calculate, for at least 80% of you, it is better than before. And I just used the generic, simple tapping sequences. Okay. Now I'm going to do another demonstration right now because you're a little bit more familiar. You're a little bit more familiar now with, we measure it first. So, in this case, the challenge, I got you to work specifically on breathing. Then we measured it. Then we did the tapping round on it. Then we did the facials. Then we did the hand points. And then we closed the sequence, and then we relaxed, took a sip of water, and then asked ourselves, how are we feeling? And then we tested. The process is the same. Actually, before I go to the next part, if there are any questions, I will take some questions right now. So if questions came up, you can quickly repost it to me in the chat as well right now. I will answer questions. And if anyone has a question, you can also post it to me in chat at this point as well. Thank you so much. Okay, so the question I've got is, how do you process that emotion, anger, guilt with someone with EFT? Could you present a specific example? So does anyone here have anger or guilt with someone? If you do, can you give me a one in chat, please? Does anyone here have any anger or guilt with someone? Good. Of the people who've given me a 1, can you give me a 2 if you're happy to unmute and share it with me? If you're happy to unmute and share it with me, give me a 2 if you're happy to unmute and share it with me. Lovely. Angelica, can you please unmute for me? Okay, so whenever I work with someone, whoever is viewing that, I do ask them just to send their love and embrace as well, okay? And I'll leave Sudha to add Angelica with me so I can see her next to me as well, okay? I can see her next to me as well. So I'm just going to remove my spotlight for a second. Angelica, can you say hello so we can just see you?
Hi.
Hi. Okay, lovely, lovely. So now I can add you next to me. And where are you calling in from? Where are you calling in from?
From Sri Lanka.
Okay, lovely. From Colombo?
Yes.
I love Colombo. It's one of my most favorite places. I normally go and stay at the galley near the you know where the galley is, next to the galley mall.
Yeah.
I love such a beautiful, it's God's country. It's God's country. You're so lucky to stay there. You know, when I land in Sri Lanka, just the breathtaking scenery, the nature, the friendliness of the people, it's incredible. So firstly, thank you so much for volunteering. So if I do or say anything that makes you feel uncomfortable, would you stop me? Yeah? You just go, stop, I don't want to do any more, okay? I want you to know that you are in charge of you, okay? So we talked about anger and guilt. Can you just talk to me about a little bit about what it is?
The situation?
Yeah.
Okay, so I had been approached by somebody for help because I am a therapist. So I extended the help, and then after a few months, she became really friendly. Until suddenly one day I heard she's going around saying that I was draining her. And she made this reference saying that, I don't like to have these close friendships, and I feel that you're draining me, and I don't want to have anything to do with. And I was a little bit annoyed. But then I started feeling guilt that I expected something from her, maybe because that's why I felt annoyed. If I didn't expect anything, it wouldn't have happened.
Beautifully shared. So you felt annoyed and then you felt guilty because you had the realization that maybe you expected something from her. Now, just give me a sense or knowing of that annoyance and or guilt that you felt. Where in the body did you feel it? Or where in the body do you feel it when you bring it into your awareness now?
In my tummy and my chest.
Tummy and chest. Thank you so much for sharing. And does it have a number? Tummy, chest, and does it have a number?
I think it's a 10.
10, lovely. So everyone, what I want you to do, I want you to write in chat as well. I want you to scan your body now. Everybody, scan your body now. And as you scan your body, I want you to notice, is there any tension anywhere in the body? Any tension anywhere in the body? Notice the body part and notice the number the tension is at, the body part, and the number the tension is at. And go ahead and write that for me in chat. The body part and the number. Lovely. Okay. So everyone who's written that, I want you to follow along with me. And is it Angelica or Angelica?
Angelica.
Angelica. I want you to follow along with me and Angelica. So let me just make sure, recap. So there was annoyance and guilt, and you feel it in your body part.
Yeah, my belly, my chest, and my shoulders.
Belly, your chest, and your shoulders, and the number is a 10. Good, let's get started. Even though I felt so annoyed.
I felt so annoyed.
I was helping that person, so that I don't need to repeat after me right now. I was helping that person.
I was helping that person.
I was just so annoyed.
I was just so annoyed.
And I feel it now in my belly.
And I feel it now in my belly.
My chest.
My chest.
And my shoulders.
And my shoulders.
And it's a 10.
And it's a 10.
I love and accept myself.
But I love and accept myself.
So annoyed.
I'm annoyed.
Really annoyed.
Really annoyed.
Very annoyed.
Very annoyed.
So annoyed.
So annoyed.
Really annoyed.
Really annoyed.
Very annoyed.
Very annoyed.
So annoyed.
So annoyed.
Really annoyed.
Really annoyed.
Very annoyed.
Very annoyed.
So annoyed.
So annoyed.
Really annoyed.
Really annoyed.
Very annoyed. Even though I was so annoyed.
Even though I was so annoyed.
Because what was it that they said to you that made you really annoyed?
That I was draining them.
I was draining them. I love and accept myself.
Even though they said I was draining them, I love and accept myself.
They said I was draining them.
They said I was draining them.
And then I felt guilty because
And then I felt guilty because I thought I expected something from them.
I thought I expected something from them. They were draining me.
They were draining me.
They thought I was draining them.
They thought I was draining them.
Did they also end up draining you?
Yes.
Yeah, even I got drained.
Even I got drained.
And then I reflected that maybe
And then I reflected that maybe
I'm expecting something from them.
I'm expecting something from them.
So annoyed.
So annoyed.
Really annoyed.
Really annoyed.
So annoyed.
So annoyed.
Really annoyed. Very good. And just come
Okay.
here, just breathe in and out. Excellent work. Very good. Fabulous. Just take a little sip of water. Lovely. You're doing really, really great. Really great. Check in with yourself right now. So it was a number 10 and you felt it in your belly, your chest and your shoulders. And the emotion was annoyance that they accused you of draining them. And the other emotion was you felt maybe guilty because maybe you were expecting something from them. So how do you feel now?
Well, the tightness in the belly is gone. The chest also feels a little bit more spacious.
Yeah.
But I can work on the tightness in my shoulders.
Okay, lovely. Isn't that amazing? Just after one round that you could feel the belly and the stomach, because people ask me, how is this working? What's going? So the way it's working is we speak the truth. So even though this happened, I love and accept myself. And then we tap on the facial points as well. Give me the number now for the annoyance and the guilt. What's the number for the annoyance and the guilt? If it was a 10 in your belly and your stomach, what number is it at now?
I think the annoyance might be at a 8 or a 7.
8 or 7, yeah.
And the guilt is down to 4, maybe.
Guilt is down to 4. Lovely. Very well done. Fabulous. Now, and this 8 annoyance, where is it more? In the belly, stomach, shoulder? Is it more in the shoulder?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Lovely. Yeah, here. So one of the things that I do when there's an emotion there, and everyone, I want you to follow along with me. I do a technique to release the emotion, okay? It might feel a little silly initially when we do it. Find the collarbone and I'll give you all the notes after, by the way. I'll give you all the notes after. Nidhi will send you a follow-up message. You'll get all the notes. Are you still there? She's still there. She's frozen. So just find underneath the collarbone. And so that while Angelica's coming, you can do this with me. Just find this point here and just start tapping here. So step 1 is you start tapping. Yeah, that's it. Perfect, Angelica. That's really great. Start tapping here. That's step 1. Step 2 is we're going to make an R sound in a minute. The reason we make the R sound is just to get that annoyance off our chest. Because the last thing we want to do is snap at the people in our lives that we love. Because guess what? Annoyance on the inside, annoyance on the outside. It's like if you've got a lemon and you squeeze a lemon, what do you get? Lemon juice. You don't get any other kind of juice. But if you've got oranges in your hand, you squeeze it, you get orange juice. So if there's annoyance on the inside and your family member squeezes you and triggers you, it's like annoyance on the outside. So we're just going to get that annoyance out. 1, 2, 3 here, and then you're going to make a sound with 1, 2, 3. Ah. Go for it. Come on, go for it. Take a breath in. Good. We're going to add step 3. So step 1 was tap here. Step 2 was Step 3 is like shake the feet as if you're having a tantrum, like this with your feet. You ready? Okay, so you ready? Okay, 3, 2, 1. Very, very good. Oh my goodness, I'm so proud of you. That's absolutely amazing. Wow. Okay. So let's check in with the annoyance now. What number is the annoyance at? Is that an 8? Is it higher than an 8? Is it less than an 8? What number is the annoyance at now?
The annoyance is definitely lower, maybe a 7 now.
Maybe a 7 now. Very good. So you're feeling something in the shoulder. Tell me what's going on in the shoulder. What's happening in the shoulder?
So I was feeling really blocked, like this whole area, which was where it was coming down to the chest as well.
Yeah.
Now it's more back here. So the top feels
Okay,
a little.
can I explain to everyone what's happening? This is known as chasing the pain. We call it chasing the pain, where there's, emotion here and it starts to move, or tension there, it starts to move. Because what's happening is the energy is moving in the body. What's happening is that tight, stuck emotion, because you know what it's like when you have a little thing going on with someone. We either overthink it or we try and push it away, and then it comes up as physical symptoms. And so it's starting to move, it's starting to ease off. So that's what's going on. So I love the way you described it. Describe it to me here in the back. Has it got a color, texture, size, shape, anything like that?
It's feeling a little bit like shame, actually.
Oh, thank you for sharing. Even though
It
feels like shame,
feels like shame.
I love and accept myself.
I love and accept myself.
It just feels like shame.
Even though it just feels like shame.
It just feels like a little bit of shame.
It just feels like a little bit of shame.
Feels like shame.
Feels like shame.
All this shame.
All this shame.
And do you think the shame is about the situation or something else?
About my expectations.
Thank you. So as it's a new aspect, I'm going to go back here. Even though what the shame is about,
what this shame is about,
is my expectation.
Is my expectation.
I love and accept myself anyway.
I love and accept myself anyway.
It's about my expectation.
It is about my expectation.
All this shame.
All this shame.
I accept you too.
I accept you too.
I allow you to.
I allow you to.
All the shame in my shoulders.
The shame in my shoulders.
In my upper back.
In my upper back.
I allow you to.
I allow you to.
All this shame.
All this shame.
All this shame.
All this shame.
So much shame.
So much shame.
And just hold it here and just take a breath in and out. And as you do that, just scan the shoulders and the upper back and just notice how you're feeling right now.
Just feeling sad.
Yeah, and what are you feeling sad about?
It's like the pain in the back has melted, but it's solidified in my heart.
Yeah, beautiful. Such a great description. That's so beautiful. You're doing so great. Even though
the
pain in my back has melted.
Pain in my back has melted.
It's solidified in my heart.
It's solidified in my heart.
And I love and accept myself.
I love and accept myself.
I just feel sad.
I just feel sad.
Sad in my heart.
Sad in my heart.
And I'm going to teach another technique now for everyone as well. And you can do this silently with me as well, Angelica, which is we're just going to tap under the eye, collarbone, and under the arm. Under the eye, collarbone, and under the arm. under the eye, collarbone, and under the arm. And you can just let the tears happen. It's totally allowed, completely welcome. You can just allow it to happen. So this is when the suppressed emotions start to release and come out. And it's so beautiful it's happening because it's causing the biochemistry within your body to change now, by the way. This is why I say EFT is such beautiful health insurance, because now what's happening is the physiological markers in your body, the cortisol, the happy chemicals, they're all readjusting. And we just tap under the eye, collarbone, under the arm. And this is for anyone on this call. Whenever you feel any kind of emotion, any kind of strong emotion, you can just tap under the eye, collarbone, under the arm. How are you feeling now? So sometimes you can feel a little raw, and that's okay. Yeah, tender, raw.
Very raw.
Yeah, so we'll just keep doing it, because you see what happens is those emotions, they get buried away. Like you said, it's in your heart. And so when we open it, they need a little time to come out. And it's almost like as if you were a little girl and I were just holding your hand and saying, it's okay. You're safe now. It's okay. You're completely safe. It's okay. Just let it out. It's okay. It's completely safe. It's okay. And we create this really safe space to be able to, this is known as the triple point karma. Triple point karma. You'll get a manual at the end of today where this information is in there. It's known as a triple point karma. So you just breathe in and out. Good. Well done. Excellent. And then just hold this here and then breathe in and out. Very, very well done. Very well done. Great. Fabulous. Lovely. So while she's holding this point, and this is called the 9 gamut. If you hold this point for 3 minutes, it releases a past memory. So I'm just going to get her to hold it. And as she holds it, I'm going to get us to breathe in for 6 counts and breathe out for 6 counts, by the way. Now, and this is going to be part of something I call your home play. So these are like the points I'm going to give you to do on yourself as a daily activity, okay? So just hold the 9 gamut and we're going to breathe in for 6 counts and out for 6 counts. And you can breathe out through the nose. Breathe in for 6 counts and out for 6 counts. Breathe in for 6 counts and out for 6 counts. And this time we're going to breathe out through the mouth for 6 counts. We're going to breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth. So go ahead, let's go do it. Beautiful. Beautiful. Very well done. Beautiful job. Very well done. How does that feel?
It feels good. At least I know that I just felt that way, and I don't have to be angry at them anymore.
Oh, amazing. It was so beautiful. Thank you so much. You were so beautiful with it. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So as you all got, that was like a very short demonstration, and I hope it answers, some of your questions in terms of how do I process the emotions. We speak the truth of the emotion, use the tapping process. I love and accept myself. I didn't use EFT to deactivate the cancer cell. I'm answering the question. what happened is I used a process called journey work. And with journey work, I was able to open up to my deep emotions and go through a process of forgiveness. Now, what EFT helped me with, though, was as I was going through that process of forgiveness, and I still had those intense headaches, it helped me take the edge off the headaches and bring my cortisol levels back into balance in my body. I use EFT as a daily process of self-acceptance. And I'll teach you a Japanese relaxation technique as well that I use daily, morning and evening. How did you handle the regret? Even though I have this regret, I love and accept myself, just like we work with Angelica right now, step by step by step by step. I've illustrated the techniques. The person who had that question, I hope you've got the technique now. How to release unexpressed emotion. So if you have unexpressed emotion, you want to ask yourself, which emotion do I have unexpressed? Where do I feel it in the body? Which emotion do I have it unexpressed? Where do I feel it in the body? And then you tap on that. As in, and then sometimes it happens the way it's happened with Angelica. It just arises spontaneously. We don't have to go searching for it. We just have to be truthful to how I'm feeling, what's going on, where do I feel it in the body. Now, someone's asking me, how do I shut my logical mind? So I want to give you a technique based on Japanese medicine that all of you can use whenever you want. And when I started, for example, on my path on spirituality, I found it hard to meditate, because I found that was a one time my thinking mind started to tell me the list of everything I had to do and that I hadn't done. It's like, do the shopping, do the laundry, talk to this person, send this WhatsApp message. I was like, bloody hell, this is not meditation. This is not calming. This is like anti-calming. And I used to develop like a hatred towards meditation. I'm not doing meditation. That meditation thing, that's not good for me because it brings up more emotion in me. You know, because I finally like being still, you know, I'm calming down and suddenly, boom, thoughts and things. So in the early days, now of course I can just sit for however long, you know, 10 hours, 2 days, whatever, just close my eyes and sit. And it's the most gorgeous and luxurious time. It's like, I think it's, you know, more precious than a Rolls Royce or, you know, than any diamond, is to be able to just sit with no thought, freedom from mind, and just, so yummy, better than any holiday. And so one of the things I learned to sort of still my mind in my early days was Jin Shin Jyutsu. And so you begin by holding the thumb. And it's the reason why when I teach EFT where I use the finger points. And the reason I use the finger points is the finger meridians are quite important. And this self-help technique that I'm going to teach you right now, you can do on your own. And so what you need to do is just hold the thumb, and the thumb has the energy of worry or chinta. And again, I'll give you the link, like Nidhi will give you the link when we finish, the energy of worry. And you just hold it, and can you feel a pulse there? Yeah, just feel the quality of the pulse. If you can't feel a pulse, it doesn't mean you're not dead. Doesn't mean you're dead, none of that stuff. It just means I can't feel a pulse right now. That's all it means. Okay, so if you can't feel a pulse, it's completely okay. You're still alive and kicking. So just feel that and just focus on the pulse and the breath. And you can just keep holding this. And you can hold it in the morning. You can hold it in the evening. I used to hold it on waking, and I used to hold it on going to sleep. And the reason I would hold it is just to harmonize any worry. So just let any worry go. And you just hold it and you breathe in and out. And the longest you can hold it for is 20 minutes. My guru, my teacher who taught me this used to say, you can watch TV. You can watch TV and do it. It doesn't matter. You know, my guru would say to me, it doesn't matter. You know, these are, you just, These are just the jumper cables. You're just a jumper cable. There's nothing in you. There's nothing special in you that's healing anything. You're just the jumper cables that's, kick-starting so you can let go of all that emotional stress. And so you hold the thumb and breathe. This is harmonizing worry. Then the next one is fear, because, I'm sure you've had this, don't do this and don't do this. And why are you doing this? And why are you doing this? And so we hold the next finger, which harmonizes fear. And you feel the pulse. And just breathe in and out. And hold the next finger, which harmonizes anger. So I am going to show you a swear symbol in a moment, and I'm going to show it to you with respect. But some of you may be familiar with this swear symbol. Basically, the reason people use it is they're trying to tell you I'm angry, so, get away from me. And they're using words that begin with F to basically tell you, get away from me, because there's anger in there and they want to push people away. Okay, so the anger finger, so just hold that and just breathe. And then the next finger harmonizes sadness. Harmonizes sadness. Hold the next finger, it harmonizes sadness. Our angels are also showing you in gallery view, so you can see it. And the next finger, which is the little finger, it harmonizes effort. Trying too hard. Effort. Control. Effort. Trying too hard. Harmonizes that. So hold that. Little finger. And then put the hand on hand like this, the hand on hand. And this harmonizes any despondency, and it opens into the ocean of love. This is also a mudra. Beautiful. So that's what you can do for the logical mind. I will come back to answering the rest of the questions after we finish the main seminar, and I won't leave till your questions have been answered. So that, can you just give me a thumbs up like this if you can see the slide with energy disruption? Thank you very much. So what you can have is you can have a set of surface symptoms. Like in my case, my surface symptoms were daily headaches where I felt helpless. But the deeper root cause was the thought that I must not feel helpless. Like even Angelica was working at her deeper root cause, which is this, did I expect something? And then I felt shame that maybe I expected something, and then I felt sad. So, we started with the surface annoyance and guilt, but then we started to peel away at the deeper root cause. And in my case, some of my deeper root causes where I can't say no, I need my father's approval, I must prove myself. And then when I worked on the deeper root cause, it's when I noticed that my headache started to release and ease off. Now, these are some examples. So some of you have asked me in questions, does it work with this? Does it work with this? How does it work? So I'm going to give you some examples of, when EFT has worked. So these are examples of my students who have done EFT practitioner training with myself, learned it either as a personal development tool or professionally to work with others. Daisy, she used it for her son to help her son overcome his learning difficulty. This is Emma Voss. She's a business owner in the UK. She came on training and she gave up her addiction to Galaxy chocolate bars. I did get hate mail from her son though afterwards saying, how dare you, make my mom stop chocolate bars. Now we don't have chocolate cake in the house anymore, especially on my birthday. So this is a story of Sri Kumar. He came on my training in Delhi and he found he cut through 28 years of emotional pain in one session during EFT training. This was Smita Pandey, who is, I think, in Cambodia right now. She said something so curious to me. She said, I'm not happy, I'm just existing. And after training, she messaged me and she said, I actually, for the first time, know what true happiness is. This is another story here of Sadhana from Iran, where she came on training. She was a yoga teacher in Rishikesh. She came on training just to learn it for herself, not to qualify as a practitioner because she was already a yoga teacher. And she just went through the motions during training. We never worked specifically with her, and I didn't even know her story. But she came back to India a couple of months later because I was giving a seminar in Gitorni in Delhi. And she said, Rangana, I went back home to Iran and I never worked on those past memories from the trauma I faced in war-torn Iran. When I looked at the old black and white pictures, I could no longer feel emotional pain. This is a story of Elsa, where at the surface, she had a phobia of balloons. At the root cause, she was in East Timor during the war where there was gunfire being fired in the house. She was hiding underneath the house. And she noticed the blood even coming through the cracks of the wooden. She was there hiding as a little kid, and she associated the gunfire with the sound, the fear of the popping balloon. And she did one process in something I teach called the movie technique. And then she came to our NLP training the week later and she holds up this balloon and she goes, see, no fear, no fear. See, no fear. I have no fear. And she told us how she didn't have fear and that traumatic memory was gone. For this is Uma, who had a fear of public speaking. And in class, this is her standing and sharing EFT. And this is working surface, emotion, root cause, and then they are free. Shalini Bullock, she was able to free herself from panic attacks, where she had panic attacks for traveling on the London Underground, to being able to travel on the London Underground freely. So this is like a lifestyle change. This was Mary Christie in our seminar in Spain. She had a fear of confined spaces and she overcame that fear during training. This is Apurva, who attended 2 sets of training. One was EFT, the second was inner child working, inner child healing, the second level from EFT. And she was free from her thyroid symptoms because, and now she is happily married. She's moved to the United States as well. So she learned the technique and then she used it on herself the way it was taught in class. So we have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of stories like that on EFT and how it is effective for so many different things. I've had a medical doctor, for example, come on training who had physical pain. He was in so much pain and he did EFT and then he overcame his physical pain. And so he integrated EFT as part of his private practice with other people. I have an endocrinologist in Mumbai who uses EFT to help her clients with diabetes. Some of you asked me about blood pressure. So we had a client in Pune who came and he had a blood pressure problem, very healthy, into his spiritual activities, did his meditation, into his yoga, very, very healthy, okay? And he came on some of the deeper EFT work. We really start to work with the deeper memories because in an introductory seminar like this, I can't can't teach you how to go and work with a deep-rooted memory, because all kinds of stuff can come up and they can be related things. Whereas our practitioners in training, they trained how to do those kind of unpeeling in a safe way. And he came, and we had this one incident as a child where he was lost in the forest. And he was looking for dad, and he couldn't find dad. And then he told dad, I couldn't find you. Where were you? You know, I missed you. And then he that day, he experienced being loved by his father, because he was seeking dad's love for all those adult years. And then he messaged me, he emailed me, and he said, I no longer have that blood pressure problem, because that emotion had just got stuck up and suppressed inside of him and was not able to be free. So there's so many different ways in which you can use EFT. So in summary, what I've taught you so far, I've taught you about emotional wellness and the importance of emotional wellness. Can you give me a 1 if you've got a sense of emotional wellness and the importance of emotional wellness? I've also given you a flavor for how stress can lead to disease and illness. Give me a 2 if you've understood that stress and disease and illness are connected. I've also explained to you how unresolved emotional upsets can be harmful. And, just even the quick little demonstration that was done, it's like just having that sense of release of the sadness resets the vibrancy of the body. Have you got a sense of that? You can have suppressed emotions, and by using a technique that can help you relieve that as well. So give me a 1, 2, 3, 4 for suppressed emotions. Give me a 5 for releasing stress. You've understood that. Give me a 6 that you've understood how EFT can help to relieve stress. You've understood the concept of it, and you've also got the 7 steps. Now, what I'm going to do after today is that you are going to get a link to a follow-up message as well. You're going to get a link to a follow-up message. On that follow-up message, you're going to have a manual which goes through the 7 steps in some detail. You're also going to have access to a video that I did last week called EFT Masterclass, which recaps some of today and also goes a little bit deeper in some other aspects and how to use it for physical tension. Now, let me ask you this. How many of you here on this call right now, would want a replay? Give me an R if you would want the replay from today. Give me an R if you would want the replay from today. Thank you so much. So we have a feel for who would like, so that we'll make a note about the replay from today. So we make sure we send it to you. Now, can you give me an S in chat if you would like to explore EFT further as a self-healing tool? Give me an S in chat if you would like to explore EFT further as a self-healing tool, okay? Now, give me a P in chat if you would like to explore EFT as a professional certification, where you want to explore that is EFT the right tool for me, the right tool for you to learn it a little bit more deeply and to get certified in it to make a difference to others, okay? The reason I asked you these questions is because next week on the 14th, I begin practitioner training. And one of my colleagues has joined this call. Yogi, if you can just unmute and say hello. I saw that you joined this call. I'm hoping you're still here. Can you just unmute and say hello? Is he there? Is Yogi there, back? No, has he left the call? I saw that he had joined. Is Donita here? Is Donita on the call? Maybe they didn't have a good connection, so they had to leave the call, okay? Next week on the 14th, and so that if you can just see if they can come back on the call. Next week on the 14th, I am starting practitioner training. So if you are interested in practitioner training and to explore whether it's the right thing for you, my colleague Yogesh or Donita will have a call with you. And what you can do straight away, though, is have a look at this link that I'm sending you in chat. Have a look at this link that I'm sending with you in chat. And what I want you to do with this link that I'm sending with you in chat, it details everything about the practitioner training, like what's involved, how many days it is, all the different things. And your next step would be to book something known as a discovery call, but we only have 2 days left to book a discovery call with Yogesh or Danita. And so they just send me a signal when they are here, or just get Nidhi or someone just to call them. And for those who can't see the link, if someone can just help me, like Girija, can you just help me post the link again to those people, or even privately in their message, just help me post the link. And so on that link, you will have all the details about the practitioner training. The next step is we would have a conversation to work out, is it the right thing for you? Is it the right thing for you? And if it's the right thing for you, then I would say book a discovery, after your discovery call. Yogesh will explain timings, time commitment. He will explain energy exchange, every single thing to you. And then you can decide yes or no if you want to take the next step with practitioner training. It may not be for everyone because it is deep training. Like on day one, you learn how to work with stress, physical challenges. Day 2, you learn how to work with cravings, how to work with deeper memories. Day 3, you learn how to work with yourself as a personal peace procedure. Day 4, you learn how to work with fears and phobias, traumatic memories. Day 5, you learn how to work with limiting beliefs, fears and phobias. And then day 6, we go into how do you use it as a practitioner and a practitioner in training, okay? So it's very, very thorough, where I cover all the psychological aspects, all the counseling aspects, and I also cover 15 hours of mentoring and supervision as well, okay? Now, for those of you who are like, you know what, I don't actually want to do practitioner training, I'm quite happy to watch the replay, then you will get the replay. We'll send you that replay, and these are some of the next steps we would recommend for you. Make sure you drink plenty of water today. Hold the 9 gamut as often as you remember. Breathe in for 6 counts and breathe out for 6 counts. Do the finger hold meditation. And for those of you in the WhatsApp group, tomorrow I will send you a video of me doing the finger hold meditation, where you can follow along with me, and then do the daily tapping. And the easiest way to do the daily tapping is just say, how am I feeling today? What am I feeling? So even though I'm feeling X and I can feel it in my body part and it's at a number, I love and accept myself. And I detail this also in the follow-up link. I think Nidhi's probably posted the follow-up link by now. I'm sure Sudha will just speak to her to post that. I'm going to click on the link that you are going to have access to straight away, because I realize some of you have to go. Let me just share the proper screen. So straight away, you are all going to have access to this link. It's called Welcome to Your Emotional Wellness Portal. And on this link, if you've got any questions, you've got the link to my Facebook EFT Tapping Heals group. You can ask me questions there, I'll respond. It's got the 3 options for you here, which is refresh, help others, or self-heal, and I'll explain self-heal in a minute. It's got the presentation slides from today, and if you give us like 15 minutes, because I updated it a little, Nidhi will go ahead and update it, and she will alert you that it's an updated presentation. The exact slide deck I used today, I'm going to give it to you. Then, so those of you who want to watch some more videos, this is a class we did last week. You can click play straight away tonight. You can watch it. You can send this link to family and friends as well if you want them to learn about it. And the last time I did this seminar, it was called an EFT masterclass. It was slightly different. It was a lot for practitioners. There's a question and answer session, very, very powerful question and answer session. And you've got a companion manual. You've also got the summary of the 7 steps. I don't want to read the book. I don't want to open it. Everything on this one link. And plus it's got these energy release exercises. So I shared with you the releasing on the collarbone, going ah, like that. So that's the first one. The second one I'll share with you now, and I'll give you a video as well. You just make a fist and you go here, you go ah. This is great to boost the immune system. Great to boost the immune system. And the second one here is the cross call, where you lift one leg up and you lift a hand up and you lift the leg and the hand, you lift the other leg and the hand, and this balances energy. And again, I will, if you're on the WhatsApp group, you will get a video a day from me for the next couple of days, giving you the information about this. You've got the Jin Shin Jyutsu here as well, and the finger holds. You've got an EFT audio on clearing, and then you've got videos of people and their experiences of EFT. So you're going to have access to that straight away. So can you give me a thumbs up if you can see the PPT again? Can you give me a thumbs up? Yeah, great. So we need a couple of days to get you the replay, because we have to download it and then we have to edit it and then upload it. I'd love your feedback as well from this time that we had together. So this feedback form, I'm also putting in chat for all of you. If we'd love you to give the feedback to us and let us know what you liked about it. And then when you click submit on the feedback form, we'll offer you a gift. And the gift that we'll offer you is we will give you access to a link that we only give to our practitioners in training. And the gift, it's a gift of knowledge, by the way. It's not a gift of diamonds or cars or Rolex watches, or, it's a gift of knowledge, where there's videos on EFT, there's a BBC documentary, there's links on health and stress, there's links on EFT and anxiety and nervousness and cravings. So you can kind of look that up. So whoever fills the feedback form in, that's our gift to you. So am I back with the PPT? Can you show me a thumbs up? Great. So that's a feedback form. I've given you the link for those who want to help others. Now, those who want to self-heal, you're like, no, I don't want to do practitioner training. We have something known as a tapathon, and specifically this is for emotional wellness and emotional balance. Emotional wellness and emotional balance. It's a 21-day program that begins on the 1st of January, and it's 2 hours per day from 7 till 9 p.m. IST, where every day we work on an emotion per day. So we start with an introduction, then we do anger. So, and the way this works is I work with the whole group together, and then I'll do like a demonstration, and then the whole group works together with that demonstration. And then you get a worksheet that you can use on yourself as well. And we work with all the different emotions: fear, sadness, hurt, guilt, grief, loss, anxiety, worry, betrayal, resentment, frustration, irritation. And then we shift to the positive emotions: confidence, self-love, self-power, happiness, and joy towards the end of that program. So if you would like more details of that program, make sure that you've written S in chat, because we have a special offer for you, which we will send you in chat. We'll give you a special code where you can join that program, because thank you so much for all the teachers, students, masters that came and joined us today. I'd love you to be able to fill in the feedback form, join me on Facebook. My name is Rangana Rupavi Choudhuri. Join me on Facebook, say hello. Let me know how you found it. You can even ask me your questions on EFT Tapping Heals on Facebook.